Hi everyone, it's Melanie and welcome back to Living Luxuriously for Less. I know you guys read the title and you're thinking, okay, what Grinch stole her Christmas? Well, actually, it's a story that I've been wanting to share for quite some time, and it definitely relates to Christmas, and I just felt like that there was no better time for me to share this story than now. And it's probably one of the most vulnerable videos I've ever done on YouTube. I started writing notes so I wouldn't forget anything, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I'm going to share this story, and I hope is that there's someone out there somewhere who will be blessed by this Christmas story and my testimony. So here it goes, how a real-life Grinch stole my Christmas. When I was 9 years old, my mom met a man whenever we were headed to the washateria. So back then we didn't have a car, and we had like this little red wagon, and all of the dirty clothes were piled on the wagon, and my mom and all of her kids were walking. We were all walking to go and do laundry. And so this man saw my mom, and she was quite attractive, and he kind of spoke with her and convinced her to let him give us a ride to the washateria. So she was not comfortable with us getting in the car with him, but she did allow him to take the clothes, which of course made our load a whole lot lighter. And I immediately liked him right away because you know, it was just such a blessing for us not to have to carry all these things, you know, I think it was about 3 miles, maybe a 3 mile walk to the washateria. So that was a lot for us as really young kids. So as time progressed, they started dating, and eventually he moved in with us, and life was so much better. We had a car, we got better furniture. I mean, it was just really happy times in our family, but that was very short-lived. That December, we had a local cafe that was in our neighborhood that all the adults would go to and party and have drinks and do things that the adults do. So this one particular night, it was super, super, super cold. And I remember the atmosphere was just so strange. Like everything was so still and so surgical. I can't really explain it. Like if you've ever had a surgery and you've gone into like a surgical chamber, how everything is so still and so cold. I mean, that's how that night felt. And even though I was really, really young, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember the sirens going off, and the police, hearing the police and hearing a lot of shouting and crying. And I thought, like, what in the world is going on? So I went on the front porch, and shortly after, someone came to tell my mom that my neighborhood aunt had been shot and killed by her husband. And if you guys are from the South, you know that when you were growing up in your neighborhood, like everybody is your cousin, everybody is your aunt, you know, it's just like one big family. It's more like a neighbor family than a neighborhood. And I was so hurt because she lived like 2 houses away from us. We lived in an apartment, but she lived in a house 2 houses away. And well, we lived in a duplex, but it was just so sad. Like it was so sad. And I just felt so sorry for the kids. I felt sorry for the whole situation was just horrible. So shortly after they arrived, like after everyone started coming to our house and telling us what happened, my stepdad came back, and he picked this huge fight with my mom. And it was terrible. My mom ended up with a black eye. She ended up very bruised. And I called my family because I was terrified. And then it was just like this huge fight. And it was just like, it just didn't feel like Christmas. It was horrible, like horrible. I mean, I can't find the words to explain how I felt. I really felt like things could not get any worse in Christmas that year. And, you know, although like in the past, we didn't have a lot of material things, we had each other, we had love, we had peace. And I was good with that. You know, when he came along, he did bring a lot of the material things into our lives. And I was thankful for that, but not at the cost of what, you know, all the other drama that we had going on, all of the other abuse and the physical abuse and the fights. Like we weren't used to that. And I just remember thinking like that was the worst Christmas ever. And I just didn't believe in my heart that it could get any worse. So the next year, it did. After that particular fight, you know, he made up with my mom and went out and bought her a car and did all these things. And also he bought her a house. So we moved to the country. We had several acres of land and, you know, orchids and trees and pear trees. And I mean, it was just beautiful. And we moved out there in the spring, summertime. So everything was ripening. It was just so gorgeous. And, my mom was promoted and he took a job traveling out of town. And so he wasn't home a lot, which was great for us. And I mean, things were really good. So he came home for the holidays. And this one particular night, he had been out drinking again. And at this point, I was around 11 years old. So I began to realize that there was like his drinking was synonymous with their fighting. And so I just hated for him to drink because I knew that there would be a fight. And so this one particular night they started fighting and he took all of the gifts from under the tree. Now this is the second Christmas. He took all the gifts from under the tree and he threw them in a well, like a nearby well, a well near our home. And my siblings would not have anything for Christmas. And I was 11, so they had to be like 5 years old and 7 years old. And my baby sister was a baby, and she was like, I don't think she was a year old yet. And that was her father. And so we were all just so devastated. And I ended up making a phone call, and someone came through with gifts for my siblings. And so they were not disappointed on Christmas Day. Of course, I didn't get anything that particular Christmas, but I was okay with that. Because, you know, seeing my brothers happy was, you know, like that was happiness for me. I always have been the sibling and the person to sacrifice for the rest of my family. And we later on, like several months after Christmas, we were playing one day by this well, and we ended up looking in the well for whatever reason. And at the bottom, we could see all the Christmas gifts, like the toys and tractors and trucks and gifts that was still in gift wrap. Like we could still see all of that at the bottom. And I just thought, like, this man is a real life Grinch. Like, he's a monster. And you know, that was the second year. So of course, after these huge shenanigans, he would make up to my mom and she would stay. And the next holiday rolled around and I was 12 years old. I will never forget. It was 2 weeks before my 13th birthday, and I was so excited about finally getting to become a teenager. And so this one particular night, remember I told you guys he worked out of town a lot, and he would come home like on the weekends, or he would stay gone for like 30 days or 60 days at a time, depending on his assignment. And my mom was a manager at a local restaurant. And so she was at work. She would close at work a lot. And so I was at home babysitting my siblings, and I was on the phone with my girlfriend. And so all of a sudden the phone just went dead. And I thought that maybe one of my siblings had gotten up and stepped on the phone cord. You know, back in the day, we had those super long phone cords. So I thought that maybe one of my siblings had stepped on the phone cord, but they didn't. I got ready to get out of the bathtub to go and check on the phone. And when I did, like, the door just came crashing down, like boom. And I was so terrified. I remember grabbing the shower curtain and just trying to wrap it around myself. And when the door came down, I looked up and it was him. And I was thinking, what are you doing here? Like, what do you want? And by that time, he just grabbed me out of the bathtub. And I was just, I was stunned. Like, I couldn't move. I don't know what I did. I'm sure I was screaming and crying and kicking. But I was just so terrified. I was so scared. And the only thing I remember seeing as he was taking me out of the bathroom into their bedroom was the Christmas tree. I remember seeing like glimpses of the Christmas lights on the tree. And I was just so scared. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. And then the inevitable happened. And 2 weeks before my 13th birthday, I was molested by my stepfather. And I just remember from that point forward, I just literally hated Christmas. I hated celebrating. I hated the Christmas tree. I hated everything, because the only thing I could ever relate back to Christmas was all these horrible memories that he had, this Grinch, this real life Grinch had created in my life and in the lives of my siblings. And so from that day until I was in my 20s, I just stopped celebrating Christmas. I didn't decorate. I just stopped celebrating. Like, that just was not my thing. And so I carried, you know, this pain throughout the rest of my junior high years, my high school years, my college years, my, you know, on into my adult years when I got a great job. I had an MBA, you know, a beautiful checking account. But on the inside of me was still this 13-year-old girl that had been wounded. And so I met my husband, my now husband, and he began to question me about why I didn't have a Christmas tree. And I think that he was really, you know, surprised that I didn't have one, because, you know, I was a really creative person. I scrapbooked, I did all these things. And then when Christmas came and he came over, it was a couple of weeks before Christmas, and I didn't have a tree. And he was like, "Hey, what's up? Are you not going to put up a tree?" And I was just like, you know, no. And I just kept like giving him these super lame answers as to why I didn't put up a Christmas tree. But my husband, like, he's super wise, and he was able to like see through all of that. So one night we were talking and he asked me about it again. And I was like, I told him, you know, about my past. And I was really, you know, hesitant to open up to him like that, because we had just like started dating, maybe like 3 months. And so I had all this baggage and all these skeletons, and I just really didn't know how he was going to take it or how he was going to respond. And I just remember, like, during that conversation, I felt so safe. I felt so safe with him. And I remember that I had never felt that kind of safety with any other man outside of my big brother. And so when one day he decided he would go to, I think he went to a Walgreens or something, and he bought a Christmas tree. And it was like a super duper Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and you know, you guys can see it here. But he brought it back and we put the tree up, and he gave me, I think it was like $50 or $60. And he told me to go to Hobby Lobby to buy Christmas ornaments. And at this time, I had never been to a Hobby Lobby in my life. Believe it or not, I was just not like the Hobby Lobby girl for like decor and stuff like that. And so I went to Hobby Lobby. I picked out some turquoise and gold Christmas ornaments that you can see here. And I went to Walmart, and I wanted to find a bow to go on top of the tree. And there was a salesperson there who actually made Christmas bows. And she was taking the Christmas bow off the tree that they had on display at that particular Walmart. And she was like, "We're taking this down. If you want this bow, you can have it." Because I was inquiring about, you know, where I could find or purchase a bow that looked like that one. And so I was so thankful that, you know, she had given me the bow. So I went home, decorated the tree. Robert came over. He loved the tree there. And so I've been toying around for a while about how to share this story and when to share this story. But the important thing is that his gift is the reason that you guys are able to enjoy my gifts today. And so before I welcomed you into my home, I want to welcome you into my heart. I will follow this video with a tour of my home for Christmas 2018, but I wanted to share with you guys my heart first so that you can see the love of Christ in everything that I do. And before we go, I want to say a quick prayer with you guys, and I hope you guys can just see my heart in this video. So Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for each and every individual here today. I just thank you, oh God, for their lives. Oh God, I thank you for bringing them this far. And I just offer them up to you right now in the name of Jesus. Whether it's a 12-year-old girl who's watching this video who can relate to my story, or if it's a 50-year-old woman who is still carrying the memories from when she was a 12, 13-year-old girl. Oh God, I just ask you to heal them right now in the name of Jesus. I ask you to set them free. I welcome you, oh God, into their hearts, into their minds. I ask you to heal and deliver them in the mighty name of Jesus. And I just give you the glory and the honor and the praise. And I pray that each and every one of you guys will get to experience the gift of true love this holiday season. And may no Grinch ever steal your Christmas. May no Grinch ever steal your joy. May no Grinch ever steal your peace, your love, or your happiness when you receive this true gift of love. Much love and many blessings. Until next time, it's Melanie with Living Luxuriously for Less. Love you guys.